so graphing absolute value equations still. So we're going to look at example 5. So we have y equals a times absolute value of x minus h plus k. And this is kind of a general formula where whatever number a is tells you if it's positive or negative. If it's positive, it turns up, V shape up. And if it's negative, it's upside down. So this one has a negative, so we know this should be an upside down V. And then h and k is our vertex. So opposite h and then plus k. H moves you horizontally, k moves you vertically. So for number 5, opposite h would be -1. That's going to be our vertex. And if I go the other direction, and then I take these numbers that I have here and I plug them in. Again, make sure your vertex goes in the middle because that gives you the V-shaped graph. If you don't have numbers on both sides of your vertex, you're just going to get a straight line. And that's not what an absolute value graph looks like. So you have to have the vertex and you have to graph points on both sides of the vertex. So 2 plus 1 is 3. Absolute value of that is 3. 3 times -1 is -3. 1 plus 1 is 2. Absolute value 2. 2 times -1 is -2. Take 0 plus 1, that's 1. 1 times -1. -1 plus 1 is 0. 0 is neither positive nor negative. And then I take -2 plus 1. -2 plus 1 is -1. Absolute value becomes 1. 1 times -1 is -1. -3 plus 1 is -2. Absolute value becomes 2. 2 times -1 is -2. And -4 plus 1, -3. Absolute value makes it 3. 3 times negative is -3. All right, so we've got 2 and down 1, 2, 3. Oh, sorry, I'm going on the wrong side of the graph here. So I need x says positive 2. So I'm going this direction. X is positive 2, down 1, 2, 3. And over positive 1, down 2. 0, -1. -1, 0. -2, -1. And -3, -2. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Go ahead and graph those. We can draw arrows because if we continued our table in both directions, it would continue on. So the domain goes from left to right with the arrows. Those would be all real numbers. I'm going to erase that and try to write it a little neater. All right, all real numbers. All right, your range is going to be everything below the vertex on this one. It's upside down, everything below that vertex. So your y is less than or equal to, that is at 0. So that would be your range. All right, looking at number 6. All right, when you have a number in front of x, you've got to divide it. You've got to take the 1 and divide it by the 1/2. Well, to take 1 and divide it by 1/2, that's the same thing as taking 1 and multiplying it by the reciprocal. The reciprocal means just flip it, 2 over 1. All right, so 1 over 1 times 2 over 1 is 2 over 1. And so that would be just 2. 2 over 1 is the same as 2. All right, so 2 is the number that would be here if I put those together. I need opposite h, so the number that my vertex will be at is -2. All right, then I'm going to go on both sides. I'm going to go -1, 0, and 1. And then I'm going to go -3, -4, -5. Actually, since I can pick x's, I can pick anything I want. Let's change this just a little bit. So -2 was my vertex. Let me show you what I'm going to do here. So I was going by ones. That's typically what we do. It kind of helps graph things here. But when you have a 1/2, it's easier to half numbers that are even. So if you half 2, that's 1. Half of 4 is 2. It makes nicer numbers to work with. So I'm going to go -2, 0, 2, 4. And down here I'm going to go -2, -4, -6, -8. And again, when I pick those numbers as even numbers, it just makes it a little nicer when you're trying to plug it in to find the y value. All right, so let's start with 4. Half of 4 is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. Absolute value of that is 3. 3 minus 4 is -1. 2. Half of 2 is 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 minus 4 is -2. 0 plus 1. So 0, or half of 0 is just 0, plus 1. So 1 minus 4. 1 minus 4 is -3. Half of -2 is -1. Plus 1 is 0. So this would be -4. And then half of -4 is -2. -2 plus 1 is -1. That becomes +1 minus 4 is -3. Half of -6 is -3. -3 plus 1 is -2. Absolute value of that is 2. Minus 4 is -2. Half of -8 is -4. Plus 1 is -3. Absolute value is 3 minus 4, or -1. All right, so looking at this, we're going to go positive 1, 2, 3, 4, -1. All right, so I'm going to go over 2. And then I'm going to go 0, 1, 2, 3. And then -2. Down 4. And then -4, -3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And then -6. And then -8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Down 1. And that gives you your V-shaped graph. See how that one's a little bit wider? That comes from having the -2 there. Or sorry, the 1/2. The -2, I was talking about your vertex. All right, so the 1/2 makes this open up wider than what it would otherwise. All right, we're going to do one more example. We're going to skip down to number 10. Y equals negative absolute value of 2x plus 3. All right, the reason we're going to skip to this one because it is just a little bit different than the others. As you can see, there is no h. There is a number in front of x, but there's no h. And h is the number that tells us if it moves horizontally or left or right. So what we're going to do is we're going to use 0 for that middle, or the number in the middle, meaning the vertex. And then we're going to pick numbers on either side. So -1, -2, -3, 1, 2, 3. All right, so -3 times 2 is -6. Absolute value makes it +6. -6 again. -6 plus 3 is -3. -2 times 2 is -4. This becomes +4. Then it becomes -4 again. -4 plus 3. -4 plus 3 is -1. Negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. This becomes plus 2. Negative 2 plus 3 is negative 2 plus 3 is 1. 0 times anything is 0, plus 3 is 3. And then 1 times 2 is 2. 2 times negative 1, negative 2 plus 3. And then 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times negative 1, negative 4 plus 3. And then 3 times 2 is 6. Times negative 1 becomes negative 6 plus 3. And the reason these are negative is because that negative sign is outside the absolute value. Okay? When it's outside the absolute value, that's your A value. And when it's negative, it turns upside down. If you have a negative on the inside of the absolute value, remember that's when distance from 0, it becomes a positive number here if you're multiplying that. All right, so let's graph these points. So negative 3, negative 3. So I'm going to go left and down. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Negative 2, negative 1. Negative 1, 1. 0, 1, 2, 3. 1, 1. 2, negative 1. 3, negative 3. I did not draw that very straight. Let's see if I can do that again. All right, so K is 3, and you can see that shifted us up 3 units here. So that would determine your domain. So for this one, if it asks, it doesn't ask, but if it asks for domain, domain again would be all reals. And your range is your Y values. And it's all Y's less than or equal to 1, 2, positive 3.